You're watching Final Score with Wes Moore on Fox 16.
Conference play is finally underway. Time to look at week 4 of the high school football season and look ahead to week 5, which will feature some big games. More on that in just a second. Scooter Register with us once again. What games did you catch on Friday night?
Well, of course, Central North Little Rock,
Yep.
and that was the big one, and kept an eye on Catholic and Cabot too at Memorial Stadium.
Really good. 2 great games. We'll start off with that Little Rock Central North Little Rock game. Central coming in undefeated against their rivals from across the river.
Well, they were, and I think as we mentioned last week, we thought maybe that non-conference competition might be a factor in this ball game, and I think in the end it might have been, but it was a really good football game. I think looking at that game, there was one key situation in that game, probably was a turning factor in that game, as Central drives down and has a 1st and goal on the 3. Don't score, go for it on 4th down, miss the pass in the back of the end zone. North Little Rock drives 99 yards for a touchdown. And I think that was key. That was kind of a momentum swing there. Had Central scored there, could have been a different ball game. But North Little Rock went. Now Central came right back on a 75-yard run by the quarterback Gunn, who's having a great year, tied it up 7-7, but then North Little Rock went on a 21-0 run. Now Central did score twice right before the half to make it 28-21. But I think the key thing here, and everybody, is that Brandon Thomas returned for North Little Rock, and before he went out in the second quarter, he had 9 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown, and really was looking really good. I don't know any updates on him, and I know the other running back, McDonald, who scored 2 touchdowns for North Little Rock's also injured. So I don't know if he'll come back. I do know that North Little Rock hosts Conway this week. North Little Rock's 1-0 in the conference, and I think Coach Mitchell will take that any time. So so one of those teams will not be 1-0 after this week. Central goes on the road to Northside. Northside struggling a little bit. I think the key here is how are the Tigers going to respond.
It was a knee injury, correct, from Brandon Thomas? The knee injury, I think. I thought that's what I heard.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not 100% sure on that. So, but can't get any information out of the Wildcat camp today. I tried, but didn't get any. Sure don't want to report any bad news.
Exactly, and we hope for the best for Brandon
That's
Thomas. Sticking in the 7A, Catholic handing Cabot their first loss of the season.
Yeah, and I visited with Coach Fogelman on Thursday. There was a JV game over there that I went to between Central and Catholic, and he told me, he said, Coach, Cabot is really good, and they do things that can hurt us. But the key to that game, Cabot fumbled the ball once and had 3 interceptions, and so Catholic capitalized on those turnovers and really played well. Their quarterback, also who played extremely well last year in the game against Cabot at Cabot, which took 2 days because of the rain, the weather deal. But Jordan Eddington was. He accounted for 278 yards passing in that ball game, and 197 passing, 43 rushing, 2 touchdowns. And they got a lot of good play from their playmakers. The 3 interceptions, 3 different guys. I know John Deuce, Hawker Smith, who returned this week, who's probably one of their better defensive players, and Cole Blackoken, who's also a captain, had an interception. So Catholic wins, first time that they've had consecutive wins against Cabot since 2007 and 2008. So it's a big win. Now, Catholic travels down south to Bryant this week. It's going to be a tough assignment for them.
No question about that, especially for how well Bryant has been playing as of late.
Cabot hosts Southside.
Yeah. Conway's offense producing in their 7A Central opener, taking down Fort Smith Southside.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the matchup with coaches in that. Keith Fimple, who's second year at Southside, Jeff Williams, who has been at, Keith Fimple at Conway, second year, Jeff Williams at Southside. College friends, played football together at Henderson State University, coached together. I was fortunate to have both of them on my staff at El Dorado. When Jeff left El Dorado to go to Southside, he took Keith Fimple with him. 2 great coaches, and they know each other like the back of their hand. So it was a great matchup, and I think what happened in this game is we've unveiled maybe a Friday night hero, 5'5", 150-pound Manny Smith, tailback, and I think Coach Fimple is producing tailbacks up there. They've got 4 tailbacks. He had 4 carries for 129 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. And so Coach Fimple quoted that he's something very special. He has great balance, great speed and sees things really fast. So I think we can watch for Manny Smith. So he'll bring those tailbacks into North Little Rock this week, and we'll see how that turns out.
That's definitely going to be a great game this week. And speaking of great games, I mentioned before we have some great, and I mean great matchups in Week 5. A couple of rematches from last year's state championship games. We'll start with the rematch of the 5A title game between Pulaski Academy and Little Rock Christian.
Yeah, should be an outstanding ball game. I think this is the first time that Little Rock Christian's hosted PA since 2016, but there's going to be a lot of traffic on Highway 10 Friday. So, you know, if you're going home, you might want to leave early. But that should be a tremendous ball game. It'll be a huge crowd. And, you know, PA's playing extremely well, and so is Little Rock Christian. And, you know, the fan base will be unbelievable. Great atmosphere there.
Yeah, you mentioned that road is going to be really busy Friday night because about, what I think, 2 or 3 miles up the road, you got a rematch of the 4A championship game as Arkadelphia goes to Joe T. Robinson.
That's right. Arkadelphia is coming off of a loss against Nashville on Friday night. Tough loss. I'm sure that they're going to be reeling a little bit. It's kind of a rivalry, I think, maybe between, I know Nashville and Arkadelphia, but Joe T's sort of a little bit of a rivalry with Arkadelphia. So it should be another great matchup. Look for a big crowd there. And so a lot of excitement on Highway 10 Friday night.
No question about that. I'm going to be at the Little Rock Christian Pulaski Academy game on Friday night. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Who knows? Maybe I doubt it, though. Maybe I'll have time to swing by Joe T. Robinson, but I highly doubt it. How about sticking in the 5A? Another good matchup here. Parkview going up against Maumelle on Friday night.
Yeah, Maumelle's ranked. They're undefeated. I think quietly they've moved to 4-0. Probably, if I were ranking teams, I'd probably put Parkview in there too. They're 3-1. They're a very good football team. Parkview's playing really well on defense. They're scoring a lot of points. Should be a tremendous game, and that's just across the river in Maumelle. So the traffic's too heavy for you when you come down Cantrell, just exit off, cross the river, and go over there, because that should be an outstanding football game.
No question about that. Okay, really quickly, you got about a minute left. I know you had a couple tidbits that you wanted to hit on really quick.
I just want to point out a couple things. Number one, congratulate Rod Stinson at Pine Bluff. He's an alumni that's come back. Head coach got his first win. Call out to Kevin Kelly and Rick Jones. Rick Jones Greenwood, Kevin Kelly at Pulaski Academy. They played two teams that have really been struggling, and they brought their teams to fair. PA did, and Greenwood came to Scottfield. They played a lot of kids, but you got to respect those guys, because they played teams that are really struggling, and they brought those teams in there and let a lot of kids play, and I like that. A lot of respect. Like, as we mentioned, Catholic High, first time back-to-back wins against Cabot. Crossett wins at Warren. I thought that was a huge win for Crossett. Hot Springs came to Geyer Springs Road on Thursday, won a big game, McClellan. Also, Bryant continues to roll, and I read where one sports writer in Northwest Arkansas says they don't think they're going to win, they know they're going to win. That's a lot of respect for those guys. And last, Benton finally wins a game. Proud of them. They've got a good football team. They played a tough 3 games, and so they won their first conference game. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great week in high school football.